Alright, let's dive right back into it. We are in part 5, and where did we leave off last time? Well, where we left off was, of course, in part 4 with progress file number 6. So, that's just the identical file to this right here. What I'm going to do is save this file as... There we are. And we'll call this progress 7 now. Alright, and okay, so that's in there. This is, of course, the movie file you're watching, if you haven't picked up on that by now. And, alright, I guess we're ready to begin. So, we're going to get a little bit trickier now. This definitely gets into some interesting turf. First thing I want to do, though, is just to save time, I want to take one of these platforms that I've already set up, okay, and you remember that I've got, this whole thing in here, and on these platforms I've already got this like code and everything. Just to save time, what I want to do is take this, okay, so I'm going to copy it, alright, which I've just done, and I'm going to put it into a new file, okay. I'm just going to paste it right back in here, and now what I'm going to do is take the artwork for this cloud puff, alright, and what I'll do now is go back into here, and I'm just going to double click into here, alright, and into here, okay, to the point where I'm back into where I can edit the artwork on this, alright, and I'm just going to paste that cloud right in here, okay. It'll probably come in sort of small, you might have to bump it up a bit, okay, and I'm just going to layer it right over top of that. I want to try to get it exactly on there, okay, and now I'm just going to delete out this, okay, and I think I should be ready to get back up here to scene 1 of this blank document, and I'm going to copy and paste this back in, but before I do that I need to definitely change the names in the library of all those things except for Cloud Puff. That's fine, I'll leave as it is, but so let's do this. Let's just call these all Cloud something now. Again, these names don't really matter too much, so we'll say Cloud. That way when I paste this in, everything will be set up already, but we don't have to do much work. Okay, so let's just test it out now. I'm going to get rid of this one, alright, and let's see. Okay, looking at the action script. Actually, let me get my whole stage. There we go. Yeah, I think that'll work fine. And of course, you know what? Let's. It's always a good idea to just test out something anytime we do something. So let's see. All right, so there we go. That cloud kind of bumps up a bit. Okay, now let's do this. Let's take this cloud and let's put it right over here at yeah, 420 by 140 is fine. I'm gonna take another one, and actually no, first, you know, let's get one of our landing zones and just pop that right above that one, okay. And again, these guys, of course, always they've already got all their code in there, all right. But what I'm gonna do now is change this symbol. I'm going to just do this. I'm gonna say. Where is it? Duplicate symbol. Alright, this is much different than just copying and pasting something. I'm actually going to change this in the library now. So I'm going to call this Cloud Landing Zone. Okay. And then I'm going to double click in here one more time. Okay, and I'm going to call this now. I'm going to do the same thing. I got symbol, duplicate symbol. Okay. Nice thing about that too is the you'll notice that that action script just stayed the same. All right, so that's still on there. And let's see. All right, so everything should be good. Let's test this out right now. All right. Oops. Okay, so that's all working good. And let's do this. Let's take a couple of them and put them over here at, let's say, 500 by 160. Okay. All right. Now we are going to make it so that these little cloud guys go back and forth across the screen here. And same deal that we've been doing with all these things. I want to make it so that when I just copy and paste these around the document, I don't have to, add any action script to them. They're just going to be these little self-contained units. So first thing I want to check is I want to go in here, and I'm going to actually make this into another symbol. All right, I'm going to call this cloud. Okay. And what I'm going to do is pop a little bit of action script on here, which will actually be one symbol, one symbol's up, hierarchy-wise from all the action script that was in this thing. Okay, and remember, this is just exactly what was on that platform. All right, so it's just, we're kind of just trying to set this thing up. I know it's a little hard to understand or follow sometimes when we're just kind of prepping things for adding code to them. But up here, where I'm at here, in this editor is where I'm going to be adding all this code that's going to control moving this whole thing left and right. All right. So let's get started on it, and away we go. Let's say on clip event load. And by the way, I do want to just kind of break from this for a second and just show you again that that same code now has already been typed into this one, and that's kind of why I had to, add that little extra bit of that extra symbol. Because obviously if I just put that code right on this one, okay, if I typed it all in there right now in this part, then I'd have to go and type it into this one as well. Okay, all right, so kind of like to drive that concept home. All right, I'm going to set up a couple kind of starting variables for this symbol. Okay, because remember, I can set up starting variables within this timeline itself. So here we go. We're going to do one. This is a this variable is did I say starting symbols? I meant starting variables. I don't know. Anyway, move underscore me. I'm going to set this to be equaling 1. All right, and this is kind of like a variable that keeps track of how far this cloud has moved along here. Okay, it's not actually going to be a variable that that controls the distance that it moves. It's just going to be kind of like just ticking up and down according to how far along this path it goes through here. Okay, and it'll be abundantly clear soon. All right, add var, okay, equals, I'm going to start this at -2. This variable actually will control the x-axis of the of this cloud. So each time this thing moves, it's going to actually be moving by this -2, or that number will change, but it'll be just going -2, -2, -2, -2 until we set it back going the opposite direction. Okay, so and you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. Variable 2. Oops. And then down here we'll do alright. So that's just getting run through once, okay, just the first time, because it's just only on clip event load. That's just getting the first time we run through it. Alright. Now this is of course the code that actually loops constantly through. Alright. At a pretty fast rate, by the way, these things loop through. And what we're going to do is say so this dot underscore x, all right, so just referring to this thing right here, it's going to be moving this whole guy, equals itself plus that advar right up there. Okay. And by the way, the reason these aren't global variables is because we do want these variables to stay like local and only local to these symbols right here. All right, and that way, you know, these can they can act independently of each other. Okay, if we did want them to. All right. So now what we're going to say is. Oh, and by the way, let me just type this out, and I'll kind of explain both these lines at once. All right, so this should be kind of obvious. I mean, we're just telling this, you know, this equation right here will just move this thing off that direction. And by the way, actually, if we were to publish this right now, these clouds would just do this, and they would just keep going infinitely off to the left. All right. So what we're going to do with the rest of this is control that. Okay. So every time this gets run through, this variable move underscore me, all right, is going to get added up 1. Okay. And it will keep doing that until move underscore me equals 100. All right. And when that happens, we will say move underscore me equals 1 again. All right. So it's kind of like if we were just to run through this right now, it would, you know, get up to 100, and then it would go back down to 1. All right. Which, of course, right now it doesn't really do much other than just, you know, keep adding and subtracting from itself. But now what we're going to do is say. All right, so let's look at this. This advar variable is going to equal itself multiplied by -1. All right, so what's going to happen when this comes to 100 is this -2, okay, will get multiplied times -1, thus equaling 2. All right. That's how adding negative numbers works. So, and just kind of think through it in your head, you know, if this, all right, suddenly equals 2, all right, then, you know, we're going to run through this whole equation again, and we should be fine. All right, so, sorry, I was just thinking on my own. All right, so the next time it gets run through, 2 will equal -2. Okay, so let's do this. Let's test it on out and give it a run. All right, so I'm trying to see how slow this will be. Oh, okay, all right, there we go. Change direction, and there it goes again. Okay, so obviously, if we wanted to change this, we just, you know, alter that number. All right. And there it goes through. Okay, so I guess in some sense these clouds are maybe one of the few things that you would actually need to go through and change a bit. You know, so like if you wanted this cloud over here going in the opposite direction, then you would actually have to go in here and change that. Although, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, well, we could try this. This is not something I planned on doing, but check this out. Let's see. What we could set is we could make this number a variable too. All right, so let's call this okay, let's give this a shot. I'm going to make a variable that is 1 symbol up in the hierarchy. Okay, so what I would do is say we'll see if this works. Okay, so this one is set to 300 and this one is set to 100. Okay, cool. All right. Now, that makes things a little bit easier because, hey, where are you going? Okay. Because now if you want to change the distance on these things, all you have to do is just change it right here. Otherwise, you would have actually had to have gone and like said duplicate symbol and created a new symbol each time. Now, though, yeah, that's pretty slick. I really did not think of doing that before. Okay, so in that case, what we're gonna do then is again go a little off book for me, but we're gonna copy this code, okay, and we're gonna be doing the same exact thing to these landing platforms. All right, so let's just take this. We're gonna put that right there. All right, and now what we'll do is kind of do the same exact thing that we did right in here. So I'm just going to actually copy all this code, okay, and hop back into here. All right, so I'm going to go double click into here. Again, I do need to create a new symbol out of this, so I'm just going to say cloud okay, so we'll just paste that code in there that was the same as the cloud, and let's see, just running through this again. These are all local variables. They don't affect anybody but stuff in here. Okay, and all right, so again it's getting its distance from its parent. Okay, so its parent is up here and it's setting its distance like that. Okay, let's click down in here again. All right, everything looks good there. Now there is something we need to do, but let's test this out for a second. Let's give it a shot. Oh, all right, yeah, we definitely got some wacky stuff happening. Let's do this. Let's double click into here. Let me go in one more time. I'm going to change the color. Oh, actually, you know what? Just temporarily, let's keep an eye on the visibility of this thing. So let's take this off for right now. I'm just going to make it a note. All right, because I want to watch this thing. Okay, all right. Yeah. That's going a bit faster. Let's figure out why that's happening. Okay, I think I do know what I did wrong here. Actually, check this out. I'm going to get out of the landing platform. I believe this is working correctly, the landing zone. I think, actually, it's this cloud that's a little messed up. And I believe if I go over here and change this to be parent, everything should work fine for that. Okay. All right, now that is working good. Reason being, check this out. Before, what it was doing, it was adding, it's adding distance, a distance of 300, basically to the x value of this when it all came totaled up or whatever. It's adding about that much. And let's see, if I were to type in 300 there, yeah, see how that doesn't go far enough? That's what was throwing me off a little bit. It just didn't add up. So what I just need to do was make sure I was adding to the x coordinates of this entire symbol right here, which is again the x and y coordinates are kind of relative to the whole stage area. Whereas notice this, if I click into here, oops, this thing's set to 0, and that's kind of what I was warning about before. If you were just to add just to create a symbol and not consider its x and y values. So that works. Although what I do need to be kind of cautious of, because I did go and I did add another symbol within here. Okay, and you see now, oops, this one is also 0, 0. The only time I think this is going to kind of mess me up, at least within here, is because this is all of our code for when the guy lands on it. What I do need to change now would be to add another parent to this, okay, and to this right here. Okay, so now when I tell his y value to be locked in with the y value of this platform, I do need to go and specify to look two symbols up. Okay, parent, parent, boom. It's going to look here. Okay, that value, that one is correct. All right, so let's do this. Let's give it a shot and just kind of see now where we're at. And okay, so that's good. What's going on here is that we need to lock him onto that cloud when he lands on it. You know, this one cloud is going a bit too far. Let's change this a little bit. Let's change this to be 100. Okay. Well, now they're the same. I don't like that. Okay. And you'll see it's kind of an obvious thing that something is messed up. It's not messed up. I mean, this is bound to happen. Oops. I forgot I have to change both of these now. Let's see. That'll be, all right, 150 there. And these are both at 100. Okay, good. So our next task then is to basically make the background and I don't want to say, well, these platforms and these clouds, we want to make them start moving when this guy lands onto here, all right? And that should kind of make it seem like, he's traveling along with that cloud. So it's actually not as hard as you would think. Really, what we just need to do is we're going to double click into here, all right? We're going to double click in one more time to the point where we actually test when he, lands on this thing. Let me just move this over here. All right, so when this occurs and when this occurs, we want to make the background start to move. So let's go ahead and do it. And by the way, remember, this code right here is only within our floating platform box. So let's see, let's change that to be code for floating landing box. And just to kind of drive that point home, let's double click into one of these guys right here, and I'll just show you that. See, that's still just the regular landing box, all right? All right. Oh, and by the way, we should be able to change that back now. We don't need to see that. Although, it's not a bad idea to leave it visible just for a little bit. Okay, so here we are. Let's do this. We'll say code for moving I'm going to do the same thing there. Okay. Here we are. It isn't too much of a killer. Root.bg. Okay, remember BG stands for background. That's all these little boxes, all of them, they're all contained in that symbol. Equals itself, okay, minus, and we're going to use the variable that we've already created, parent.add var, okay. And just get a little quick reminder on that. What is that thing again? It is, it is right here. It's that one, okay. All right, so in this add var stays kind of, I guess, it's controlling this cloud. I mean, this box as well. So they're the same. They're equal, all right? So we're just basically adding, an equal amount to both of them. Let's get back down here. Okay. And let's do this. Let's take this whole line of code and we'll change that to clouds. Alright, we'll change this to clouds. And for this, since the clouds move at a little bit slightly different rate than the background anyway, we'll put into parentheses here advar divided by, we'll just say 3. That should look about right. Okay, so let's take this whole thing and we'll just paste it right back down there. Alright, and I think we've got everything set up correctly. Alright, so these are, that's obvious. Let's see, I just want to make sure one more time that because I'm fetching this variable from its parent, that okay, so if I click one up, alright, yeah, again, there's, okay, that's the advar. That's good. Good stuff. Okay, so let's see how this goes. I've got to land on it first, though. Alright, so check that out. Pretty slick. He's just kind of moving along with it. There he goes. And let's see if I can get it, oops, get him to land on that other one. Alright, cool. And look at that. Quite nice. So he's just going around. Okay, so let's do this. Let's set the visibility on this thing back to being invisible again. Alright, and that should really drive home this kind of whole effect that we've set up. Yeah, pretty nice. I think that is something else. So, and also too, notice if I just, I can fall off of it. And you know what? I think it's about time for us to work on kind of just little simple movements of this guy. Obviously, when I move him around, he's not really running, is he? He's just kind of staying still. It'd be nice if when I press to the left, he would actually turn to the left. And likewise, getting back the other way. So that's kind of our next task here. Okay, so this will be relatively simple. I know all of your brains are probably hurting quite a bit from making these clouds move. Actually, it's about time to, well, let's close this document, number 1. But let's save our progress. So this will be 8. Alrighty, and let's get ready to go. Let's scoot that out of the way for a second. And you know what? I'm kind of sick of seeing this here, and same with this. We don't really need to see that anymore. Remember, this stats thing is doesn't really do anything for us. Whereas this gravity guy, this does need to exist on the stage somewhere. You could set it to be invisible, or yeah, I mean actually that's fine. We can go like do that, but I'll just leave it there for right now so we can kind of still see it. And definitely this whole thing does need to stay as well. But moving it off stage works just fine. Okay, so let's select our little guy here. And what we're going to be doing is definitely really easy. We are just going to go inside of here and say, let's find a space to add a little bit more code. How about right here? We'll say if global dot jumping equals false. All right. Root dot man dot go to and play. And here's where we'll add a new frame label. We'll say running. All right. Oops. And so all we're going to do with this is just change the appearance of the guy. And let's put a little note here. It says change appearance of man while not jumping. Well, not jumping, but running. How about that? Okay. So let's see. That's on the left key. All right. That means we need to reverse his direction. So let's do that. And in fact, what did I just, did I, okay, running, yeah, that's what I gotta add. Okay, so here we are, frame label time, running. And I'm gonna put a keyframe right here. In fact, you know what, I'm gonna copy this keyframe, paste it right there. And actually what I've already done is added to the library a symbol called man running. Ooh. Sorry. Let's see, what did I do wrong? You know what, let's change this to be man running 2. How about that? I certainly messed something up. Well, let's see here. What is this? What's the problem here? I don't get it. Oh, I gotcha. You know what? I need to actually break that apart. That was just something on my own I messed up. There we go. That's weird. Okay, other than that, this guy should be just fine. The problem is I used one of those symbols. I used this symbol inside of here. Okay, so I can change this name back to being just running. Alright. And where are we? Let's get right here. Dump that back in there. Okay, that's good. Kind of match him right up there. Okay. And let's delete out the one underneath. This is just him standing still. I'm going to just paste and place that again. And just to drive it home, double click. There he is. He's kind of just like running through. Yeah, he almost gets a little happier because he's running. And that should do us right. What I do want to do though is set it up so that when he's not running, of course, he just goes back to standing still. And the best way to do that will be if I go over here to this frame label on my my key listener. Let's do this. Let's set up so root.man go to and stop 1. By the way, I did just get to thinking about something. When we create more levels, we don't need to paste this again, because you know I was kind of thinking, oh, this is level 1. We would just take all the same code and make it level 2. This is one bit that we could just leave on, so just, I don't know, FYI. Anyway, so okay, yeah. When we go key up, when we relinquish any key, it doesn't matter. This man will go back and go to and stop 1. All right, so let's see. Oh, you know what? We need to reverse his direction. Whoops. But otherwise, it looks like it is going fine for us. All right, so let's see. Let's make him. Just flip him horizontally. Okay, so now let's see how this works. All right, cool. There we go. All right, so let's do the same thing now for the other key. I'm just going to copy both of these, copy frames. Paste them. All right. I flipped them around using my hotkey for flip horizontal. We'll call this running 2. Okay. And, oh, you know what? For some reason I got 2 keyframes there. What's the deal? Clear keyframe. All right. That should be fine. So let's go back over to here and let's just make this right over here. So running 2. Okay, cool. Bing, bing, bing. All right, good stuff. And let's do one other thing. Let's say if global.jumping equals true, because it is possible to hit these right and left keys while you're in motion. In that case, let's change this to be just jumping 2, and down here, jumping. And we can even copy our note here, but let's say change appearance of man while jumping. Okay, and that'll be a pretty easy one because I'm just going to go in here and use... Oh, well, that's interesting. Forgot I already had a jumping one. You know what, let's just, we'll set it up so this is jumping, okay. And that way, if you want to get fancy and maybe change this jumping pose a bit, you can do that. I'll call this one jumping 2. And which one is the reverse? Let's see. I think this one is. Oops. There we go. Okay, so let's just see right now. Okay. Alright, good stuff. I think that's working. Now, this might be kind of hard to see in the video, oops, but you can almost like run off the side of some of these things and still pull off a jump, okay, like that. I don't know how obvious that is, but I think what we can do to prevent that is just say, if we go down here, we can put a little if statement on this and say if global dot on solid ground equals false. Oh no, you know what, I'm sorry, that needs to be equals true. So if he's on solid ground, he will be able to jump, and let's see if that works for us. Okay, that's good. He just kind of falls right off. You don't get that kind of last minute opportunity to relaunch. And the reason being, I believe, is because when we set up this gravity, yep, we immediately set it so that as soon as you start falling, you're no longer on solid ground. So let's just do this. And in fact, if you're playing the home game with me, go ahead and test out your own file with all these same settings, and or play the contained progress 8 Swift file, and just kind of get a feel for the game at this point. This is I think we're kind of at almost the conclusion of what we need to do for controlling this little guy's world. There's not a whole lot else we need to do in respect to that. We've definitely got a nice little piece of code here that's a little programmed world that we are doing well with. That's not the end of the lesson, though. We are going to add those kind of enemies, and I think it's kind of a good idea too we'll have some sort of I guess objective or points to running through this world. I was thinking actually we'll bring in one of those bushes, and if you just kind of run up against one of those things that collect it or something like that, and there'll be some sort of scoring based on that. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so I'm going to get back up here to kind of my main timeline, and I'm just going to double click into here. Stowed away my clipboard, I've got the little bush that we created earlier, so I'm just going to paste this on in here, and let's put him just kind of on the platform there. Alright, so this is relatively easy. We're not actually learning anything new with this, but I'm just going to do this. I'm going to create a symbol out of it. Alright, so we're going to call this bush hit area. No, I don't want to call it that. Let's call it bush to collect. Okay, so double click into this, and let's just put a new layer in here. We'll drag it down one, and let's make a little hit area like so. That's actually probably a perfectly fine size. So go ahead and make that into a symbol. We'll call it bush hit area. Okay, and I'm just going to put it kind of drag it right underneath there. And if you were to see, you know, the visibility off, okay, so there it is. It's right there. That is where we're going to add some code for this. And this is really simple. What we're going to do is just say, oh, another one of these on clip event enter frame, and we'll say if this dot test root dot man hit. All right. Oh. See, fool me twice. Got to put those parentheses right there. Okay. And what we'll do now is just say go to and I'll say go to and play collected. Alright, so this will be a frame label that we're going to set up right now. And I'm just going to put it right over here. So let me just take that off. And you know what, I'll label this for you guys. Bush hit area. Okay, and what was that? Alright, collected. That's the frame label, so you can see it right there. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's disappear both of these objects at this point. Alright. Except actually, you know what, for this one, let's make it kind of just go up or something. Like that. And maybe we even take the alpha down or something. How about that? Cool, okay. And what we'll do is we'll pop a little stop action on here, okay? We do want to kind of keep score of these things, so let's say global dot collection equals itself +1, okay? We'll set up a starting variable for this, which will just equal 0, of course. In fact, we can do that right now. Let's go ahead and pop it right here. Starting variables, okay, equals 0. Alrighty, and what else? Let's double click back into this thing. And what you could do is, if you wanted to just put a little bit of animation on this, looping through the beginning, what we could just say is go to and play 1 here. So now you have this whole little area that we can just loop through with kind of teasing you to collect one of these things maybe. Let's say we could do this. And zoom in a bit. And maybe we just nudge it off to the side. Let's see how that looks. Okay, let's see what happens if I touch it. Oh, and I've messed up something. Alright, let's see what did I do wrong. Double click into here. Let's take a look at the hit area we set up. And where did I mess this up? Oh, I see. Parent. Okay. It's kind of confusing sometimes even for me that I always forget that you got to specify that this frame label is actually the frame label of the parent. Alright, so now let's see what happens. Okay, kind of hard to see that it disappeared on us, but it did. So let's do this. Let's just lock that. Let's just put this up like so, and we'll make that go up, and we'll make this go up. Alright, now let's take a look. Okay, so a little bit easier to see that time. And of course, what we can do is just pop these things wherever we want. Put one, let's say, let's go over here. And of course, you know, we do have these bricks that possibly break away. We could throw one in there. That's no problem. What we do want to do though is duplicate this. Duplicate the symbol, not copy. Remember, I'm referring to this one. Duplicate symbol, okay, and we could call this brick and landing, brick landing. How about bush landing zone too? So let's see, that way we could add this bush right into there, and let's just see what happens then. Oh, whoops. Turns out just messing around, I accidentally put the letter A on that. Yikes, don't want to do that. Let me just make sure I didn't do that on any of those other ones. Yep, I did it to all of them. Okay. Alright. Now let's see what happens. If I go over here, alright, perfect, that works good. Alright, that one disappears. What I do want to see though is what happens if I bust this one out. Oh, hey, I lose my chance of getting that. Alright, so that's exactly what I wanted. And if we wanted to kind of show the stats on that, you know what, let's dig something out of the library from before. Let's grab this guy. We'll bring him back into existence. This time though, what we'll do is stat 1 is going to, this statistic right here is going to equal global.collection. Okay, and let's see how that works. Okay, currently equals 0. What about if I touch it? Yep, counts up. Cool. And of course, what you could do is you could always find a nice font that you enjoy. Let's see. Yeah. Alright, so you guys all saw the font name on that. If you can find it on your own, go ahead and add that in there. It's I'll switch that back to being Arial for your versions of it, but just so mine looks cool, I'm going to keep using that. But that's a great font. You can find it probably anywhere on the internet. Good one to add to your collection. And let me do this. I'm going to take the artwork from this little bush guy here. Just that. Okay, no. Let's take this. Grab this. And I'm going to paste it right up here on this layer. I'm going to make this about 200%. And this way it'll kind of look like that statistic. No, let's bring it a little closer together. Should look like that statistic. You know. Oh, look at that. Now I know what I'm doing. Now I know my objective to grab these little things right there. And you know what? I kind of want to save this our progress out on this so far. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's save this as progress 9. Okay. And just take a look back where we are. Alright, so we've got kind of something to collect in our little game. Now, let's deal with these backgrounds, because you might be noticing we've only got sort of a limited amount of work area space over here. You know, you can at any time decide, oh, I'm going to change the document size to like, let's say 1500. And suddenly that means you can scroll quite a bit more over this way, but now your document size is huge. Well, you could, if you just want to increase your work area a little bit, that's fine. You could set that up, and then you could just switch back to being 600 again. Because it is going to get pretty tough after a while to keep kind of adding to to our game board here if we can only go over this direction. So one thing we can do is this. We can kind of make different segments of these pieces of the board, and I think the best way to do it is to kind of say to ourselves, okay, we're going to make kind of like 1,000 pixel units of the background, and that'll be kind of our size of those. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do this. I'm going to take one of these pieces right now and just move it up to being at 0, 0. Okay. And I'm going to take a bunch of other stuff, just throw it over there. Let's see. Okay, yeah. And let's get it out to about 1,000. Okay. Looks like I went a little bit too far, actually. Let's do this. Okay, so everything past here would be beyond the 1,000 point. These need to be at 980. Okay, so you see this one right here goes to about 1,000. And in fact, you know what? I think I need to just... Okay. Yeah, so it starts at 980. So like right over here, see where my mouse is? Right along that line is actually at 1,000. So this kind of imaginary line right here will be where we begin a new background. All right. And let's go ahead and try our best to set that up. I'm just trying to think about this water. You know what? We'll leave the water alone for right now. Let's just select everything here. Okay, I'm going to start with starting with this brick up here. All right, that's kind of our marker. It's going to be our marker for the furthest left of this little thing. And what I'm going to do is just select every little bit of it and make it into a new symbol. Of course, let me remind you actually before I do that, the reason I selected this too is because this is at 0, 0. We want to make sure that we don't mess with these coordinates at all, okay? Because we have a lot of things in all of these different little units that are kind of checking up to see that those coordinates equal what we want them to be. So here we go. Let's go ahead and just make it into a symbol. We're going to call this segment 1. Okay. All right. And let's check this out. Let's see if everything works first off. So far, so good. Okay, that's working fine. That's doing this. That's treating us right. Okay. All right. Click out over here. Okay, so we've kind of created now our first kind of background segment. Alright, so now what we'll do is let's just copy this and just paste it. Alright, let's set this to be 0 though, and let's set it also to be 0 here. Okay. But, so now it's like kind of right on top of this other one. You can see if I just kind of moved it out, yeah, it's right on top of there. Let's cut it off, all right, and we'll just paste it right there, okay. And what we'll do is let's just lock the layer below it and hide it. Okay, so that one's now gone. Well, it's not gone, it's just invisible at the moment. And let's call this segment 2, okay? And actually what we'll do is we'll give this one below it also an instance name, segment 1. Alright, and let's see. Oh, one other major thing I need to do actually is duplicate the symbol so I can change it around some. So we will just go to duplicate symbol, call it segment 2, alright. And now let's just go in here and kind of just mess things up a little bit. We'll just change, whatever we need to change. Take that out of there, get rid of all that. We'll leave that. Put these guys over here, how about? Let's get rid of that. Okay, so it is different. Now, of course, what we could do is we could just take this whole segment and just slide it over, but that's really not the point, because the point of this is we're kind of assuming that you're going to have maybe 10 of these things lined up, so to just do that kind of, it gives us a temporary solution once. What we're going to do, though, is I'm just going to throw it right back over here, right on top of the other one, and just to kind of prove the point, how this whole thing will come together, what we're just going to say is segment 1 equals, I should say segment 1 dot x equals 0, and I didn't, okay, there we go, segment 1. Okay, and segment 1 equals y. Okay, and let's just look at what this action script will do. Actually, it won't do anything other than just keep segment 1 exactly where it is. So segment 1 is right here, alright, see that? And its coordinates are 0, 0, okay? Now, let's go make that invisible again, and let's take a look at segment 2. What we want this to end up at is at 1,000, alright? So it's going to begin over here, alright, like that. So all we really just need to do in the action script is say segment 2 equals 1,000. Alright, so when you're creating your game boards, you can just kind of programmably position them where they need to be. But while you're, in the midst of making them, you could be anywhere. You could be over here, just kind of, you could take this whole thing, just edit it down in this little land. It's not going to matter, okay? Do whatever you want, because when you publish it, everything should be a-okay. So let's just try to make our way over there. Okay, there we are. We are already at the other segment, all right? You can kind of already see the changes. There's more clouds, okay, and boom. And I guess I probably should have included the water in there too. Let's see. Let me double click in here. My only thinking with the water is that the lines wouldn't match up perfectly. So I guess with the water you could include that as well. It's not as big of a deal, but let's see. But I guess actually it is, because after a while it will kind of, as you saw in the movie, it will run out. So let's see. Let's play around a little bit though. Oh, and by the way though, these you could delete after you have set up your your board or whatever. You can take that out of there. It doesn't need to be there. Do it on the other one too. Oops. Okay, let's run around. And obviously, too, our all of our variables are working. Those little bushes are getting added in there, so that's good. And switching to a different level. If you want to make kind of multiple levels where the whole background changes and things like that, that's really easy. It's going to be as simple as just the same code that you use to kind of detect your let's say your little death zone down here. All right, you could just you could put that same code anywhere inside one of these background segments, and maybe it could be a door or something like that. And when you run into it, well, you just tell the main timeline to go to a different place, like, for example, just over here where we'll have a different level. So, I mean, I guess we'll probably eventually end up doing that, but let's try to tackle one last, I guess, somewhat major challenge. No, it's not too major. We'll do some enemies, and then we'll probably be minutes away from closing down this entire lesson. All right. Actually, I was right about to keep continuing this video, but I just noticed that the time is running a bit long. So what I'll do is close this one down, and I will, of course, have to go ahead and add over here, new folder, and add one more. And so that's actually good for you guys, because maybe the enemies probably won't take me that much long to program in, so we'll fool around with a few other things. One thing, though, I did do kind of while I was just absent, which you probably didn't notice, but I did actually put this water inside of inside of each one of our little segments. Okay, so it's just a simple cut and paste job. It's nothing spectacular, but that way, the water will you'll not have to kind of run out of it. So you can just see here. And you really can't even hardly notice. There is kind of a, if you notice right here, you can almost see where it kind of stitches together, the astute viewer. But other than that, I think, that's the only thing I was messing around with while I was changing things. Anyway, so, that's it. I will be right back, and we'll move on to progress number 10. And of course, though, this file will be in here as finished. There we go. Alright, so I'll see you momentarily in Classic Gaming Part 6.